to another episode of Groovi Tuesday. My name's Paul Church from Clarity Crafts here in the UK. How is everyone doing today? I know it takes a little while for everybody to find the room, so when you do, pull up a chair and I shall just do my usual waffling until I can see we've got anybody with us. The lovely Grace is over from the New York. I was going to say she's over from UK. She's over from New York, and she's in the room with you today. So if you have any questions, then Grace is there to help. Good morning, Mo. Very well this morning. I hope you are too. Always the first one in the room. So should we do our usual catch up and see what's going on with the weather with everybody? That should be my message from Grace. Thank you, Grace. The sound is said it's all working and the sound is good. Thank you. So we've got lovely Helen, Jill. Here comes everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning, or afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. I know we have a number of viewers from Australia. So we've got someone in France, in Spain. See, it's fantastic, isn't it? International. Modern technology. We've got the lovely Jane in the room. So here everybody's coming in. And this week we're going to start a brand new project. Hands up in the room if there's anybody here for the first time. I'm sure we've got one or two new people. So it's sunny in Ripon. What other weather reports have we got? Let's have a look. Lovely Josie's in the room. Good morning, Josie. Yeah, it's great to have Grace in the room as well. Jill says it's quite bright, a patch of blue sky here in West Berkshire. Super duper. Yeah, it's nice and sunny here in Edenbridge today. A little bit foggy and nippy this morning, but once that lifted and the sun came out, it looks like it's going to be a beautiful day here in Edenbridge. So yeah, we've got lots to talk about today. Who was in the shack with Barb yesterday? I know many of you were, and the lovely beautiful flowers you were creating with the embedders that Lisa came up with looked fantastic once it was done. It was sort of, yeah, really, really great. So great to see how that carries on next week. But today, as I said, we're going to start a brand new project, and what we're going to be looking at is the Pergamano Handbook for Multi-Needle Tools Volume 2. And this has been written by the lovely Linda Williams. And this is a real sort of masterclass of a book. You can see it. I mean, look how thick it is. And there are 172 pages in here. And what Linda's done is she's going to guide us through the various different multi-needle tools. And there's lots of hints and tips in the book. So it really is as if Linda's holding your hand. And then I'm just going to have a play around with it. And each week we're going to have a look at a different tool. And we're going to start off, I'll zoom in a moment, the Pico V small tool. Now the Pico V tools were tools that we introduced after purchasing Pergamano. And there's a story behind that, which we'll come to a little bit later. But Linda sort of created a fantastic book to guide us through the art of the lovely lace work. And it really is achievable. If you have a read or you just watch the YouTubes, then I'm sure you'll pick up a few tips and tricks along the way. And we're going to have a look. And the way in which the book's laid out is that it has you've got like this lovely little sampler plate. And what Linda's done is she's shown us, this is the layout on this side, and it indicates whether it's been perforated, embossed, or cut. And then this is what it looks like when it's all completed. And then when you turn it over, you've got an explanation about the tool, and then you have a pattern. And what you need to do is you need to photocopy this, and you need to photocopy it on the cheapest copy paper that you can find. The thinner, the better. Okay. So for each of the different tools, Linda has created a fantastic sampler plate for us to practice with. We then move on to the Pico V, the medium size tool. And whatever you do with the small, the medium or large, you can replicate them in all those different sizes. You can do a bit of white work on them. You can do, I mean, I love this pattern here. Then we go on to the Pico V large. So it's the same layout throughout, where you've got an explanation and then a pattern for you to photocopy. Now, when you get further into the book, what Linda has also done is, let's have a look, where are we going? I should put a little bookmark in place, shouldn't I? All about Pico cutting. So how to perfect your cutting with some pictures to show you how to hold your scissors, then how to do your cutting, how to cut across. And for me, that's how I learned to do my Pico cutting, was by doing lots of little crosses just to get into it. And then after that, we go from crosses to lace, where we incorporate a little bit of embossing in there. And then you've got some projects that Linda's created. And what she does is she shows you the area from the sampler plate that she's used on the card. So when we look at this one, this is the almond tool, and she's taken this part of the sampler and put it on her design. So there's lots of fantastic different projects that you can follow, and Linda rates them whether they're easiest, whether they're intermediate. So you can sort of work your way through. And if you don't have any of the particular plates, just practice. Look at plates that you already have in your collection. So there's lots of different designs in here, and there's also some additional patterns that Linda's created. So if we have a look at this card here, there we go. So we've got that one there. Linda's shown us the two different design elements, but then she's also given it for us completely laid out. So what you'll find is that these are all actual size. So if you do scan them into print or you copy them, you need to make sure that you copy them at actual size. Okay. So as part of the working alongside the handbook for the multi-needle tools, the lovely Glynis has very kindly created some little projects that will be showcased on the Clarity Matters blog every Sunday at 8 o'clock. Now, these two pieces of artwork are very achievable, okay? And we're going to have a look at this particular design. This is using the Pico V Small. So this coming Sunday on the Clarity Matters blog, you'll be able to follow step by step on how Glynis has created these. And all the little bits that she's done has been done on a tag, so it's not too overwhelming. Okay. Then the following week, next week, when we look at the medium-sized tool, the following week, there'll be these two little projects. So replace the designs with what you already have in your stash. But it's all about sort of practicing, whether you do your Pico cutting, whether you just do your white work, whether you do your sort of like the graduated white work. And then moving on the week after that is then the large Pico V. And on this piece here, Glynis has combined all three different sizes to go around the outside of her tags. So make sure you sign up to our newsletters. You'll be informed of everything that's going on at Clarity Towers, and you'll be notified every time the blog's posted on a Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Woo! And breathe. Lovely to have everyone. I think everyone's pulled up a chair now, haven't they? I think they're all nice and comfortable. Although when you look at some of these, you go, oh, I can't do this. You can. You really, really can. So if I can do it, you can do it. So what do we need to get started? Okay, let's put this lovely artwork to one side from Glynis. So we need the book, and hopefully you photocopied the Pico V Small Tool page. Okay, so this is the pattern that we're going to be working with. Okay, so we're going to need that. We're going to need our Pico foam, and the Pico foam is very slim. It's 4 mil in depth. So we're going to need that. We're going to need that. We're going to need some A5 parchment. We're also going to need some Groovi tabs. We're going to need tumble dry sheet. And then we're going to need a small Pico V tool. Now let me show you the difference between the different sizes. Okay. All right, so let's get these lined up so we can see them. Whee! Careful you don't prod yourself with them. So if I come in on this camera here, so let me have a look, see if what's the best way to reckon that's where we're going. Right, there we go. So we have this one here, which is the small one. Then we have the medium, and then we have the large. Okay, so you can see it varies with the number of needles and the size of the Pico. I'm going to need to come this way, I think. There we go. Hopefully that's, there we go. You can see that a bit better now, can't you? And then also on the end of the tools, it has the numbers. Okay, so the number 1, so number 1 is the smallest, number 2 is the medium, and number 3 is the largest. So maybe you've got 1 or 2 of them in your collection already, and you're not sure which one is which. 1 is small, 2 is medium, and 3 is large. But for today, we're just going to go with the small. Okay. So we need that, we need that. I need my glasses. Definitely need my glasses. And our Groovi guard. This is really important. We definitely need our Groovi guard. Okay. So that's what we're going to need for today's session. I'm going to move that out of the way. Also going to need super foam. Whether you have the white super foam or the black super foam, it doesn't really matter. But you just need something for when we come to reperforate. Okay. Are we good to go? I reckon we are. I reckon you're all sitting there ready, waiting, and saying, hurry up and stop waffling. So I shall. I think we're good to go. Okay. Right. Glass at the ready. I'm going to zoom in. But what we're going to do first is we're going to take our piece of parchment. When we perforate our work, we perforate from the front. And then we do our normal embossing and our white work on the reverse. Okay. So just as what I find is easier, if I wipe both sides of the parchment first, it's a lot easier. Okay. Because if you do your perforating first and then you turn it over and you try to do your white work, it'll be very difficult to wipe with the tumble dry sheet because it's all prickly on the back. So I'm going to take my paper pattern and I'm going to lay that over the top like so. I'm going to take my Groovi tab to hold it in place so it doesn't move. And what we're going to do, we're going to just have a look at a couple of different sections because it's surprising the different patterns that you can come up with depending on where you position your tool. And this little sampler sheet really does sort of give you a good idea of the different things that you can do. Okay, so that's attached securely. I'm now going to get my Pico foam because when we do our perforating initially, we need to what we do call shallow perforating. So we're not going to go all the way through the parchment. I'm going to take my tumble dry sheet and I'm going to lay that on top. Then I'm going to take my pattern and lay that like so. Okay. Now I've got another top tip for you as well. When we're looking at the various multi-needle tools, the clue's in the name, they're multi-needles. So in the past, where we've been perforating with, say, a 1 needle or a 2 needle, it's quite easy to perforate. But when you have a number of needles, it can be a little bit harder to sort of puncture the parchment. So a top tip, if you take another tumble dry sheet, where's my one gone? Just fold it up a little bit, okay, like so. And then just take your multi-needle tool and just perforate your tumble dry sheet. Okay, and what that's doing, it's going to lubricate the needles to start with. Right, groovy guard at the go. So let's have a look. Should we have a look at this flower here in the center? I'm going to zoom in now, so just bear with me. No, we're not going to have a look at one of these. Let's have a look over here. So I'm going to stretch, do my exercises, and I'm going to zoom in. So I can still never remember. I always forget which way to come in for the zoom in and zoom out. Okay, I'm going to see how close I can come in. I'll readjust my work like so. So we're in the center. And when you look at, there's 3 different flower designs, and this is all using this Pico V tool. Okay, it's quite clever, isn't it? How you can build up designs from a V, because basically that's what it is. So let's get started. What we're going to do is I'm going to focus on this one first. Now on the Pico V tools, the back 2 needles are slightly longer than the rest of the needles. And what we're going to do, we're going to have a look. If I hold the tool upright, I wonder if I come in on this one. Right, it's going to be fun. Where am I going? No, I want to go that way. Let's move these that way. I'm going to come in this way, like so. I reckon that's about right. What do we reckon? Let me just get my eye in. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a look at the 2 back legs, so to speak, and we're going to position those on the dots. Okay, we're not going to perforate, we're just going to position them. And then we're going to take the tool and we're going to hold it upright so that all the needles are on top of the dots. Okay, and then we're going to perforate. And we're perforating through both the parchment and also the paper. Okay, so then we're going to pull that out. And I'm not going all the way in. All I need to be able to do is to perforate the parchment. Then I'm going to turn my work. Let me just move these out of the way a little bit. I'm going to turn my work so we can stay on this camera. I'm going to reposition the back legs, so to speak. I'm just going to come in from above, and then watch it. Then hold the tool upright and perforate. Pull out. Now every time I perforate through the parchment and the paper, it's also going through the tumble dry sheet, hopefully. Let me just have a check. Yes, but there's the tumble dry sheet, and you can see where I've perforated through. Okay. Then what we're going to do, just keep turning the work so it's comfortable for you. You need to be able to see those back legs. I mean, they're needles really, but I think legs is a better word, don't you? Okay, so get those legs in place, upright, make sure the front 2 needles are on top of the dots, and then perforate. It's quite addictive. Once you start doing this, because Linda has done all the hard work for us, it is very achievable. Okay, go all the way around. And you wouldn't, well, I wouldn't have thought that. I remember when we first bought Pergamano, and it was funny, Barb and I were in her studio, and we had these tools, and we were just stabbing at parchment to see what the patterns were. I mean, it had it on the end of the tool, but I thought, well, what would you do with this one, and what would you do with that one, and why? And then obviously Linda introduced us to the tools and said, right, well, this one you can do this. And when she showed us what you could do with them, it was quite magical. Oh, I'm not in camera, am I? Let me just move. Hey, go back over this way. So now I'm going to follow the pattern, just like so. There we go. And I actually find it easy if I hold it to the side, I can see both the bottom and the top holes on those back two legs. Okay, hold it upright, and then puncture. So we have a lovely question from, let's have a look, from Judith. Can you reuse the paper sampler once you pierced? Yes, you can indeed. You can use it several times. As long as every time you perforate, you're perforating in the right place, then you can use it several times. Okay, so I'm going to turn, where am I going now? Let's go around this one. I need to make sure. Don't normally use this side camera, but I think this side camera works really well for this process. Are we happy with that? Everyone agree? See, because I'm not puncturing until I've got all the needles lined up, in a way I can't really go wrong. I'm going to turn it round. Whee! Hang on. Am I still in? Yeah, I'm still in shot. All right, relocate, and then perforate. Pull out, and it definitely does make a difference with the tumble dry sheet underneath, because every time we perforate, it lubricates those needles. That was my tummy gurgling. I didn't think you'd be able to hear that. I should speak a little bit louder. Maybe I need more coffee. Oh dear, oh dear. Okay, so we've done all of the outside petals of this particular flower, and now we're just going to go in and do that centerpiece. So hold the tool at an angle that you feel comfortable with, that you can actually see where those back legs are going. Loud and clear. Thank you, Ken. I need to move the microphone. Right, okay, let's have a look. Final one on this one. Now, this one is interesting. See this pattern in the middle? Hang on, where are we going? Need to come this way. Right. So this shape in the middle, this diamond effect, is smaller than the outer petals. And the reason being is because what we're going to do now is we're going to relocate the back two legs into the holes that we've already made. So what we're doing now is we're making a smaller diamond, so to speak. Okay. So let me come on the overhead now, and we can have a look at this on the overhead. So if I lift this up, and if I take a piece of black paper, let me just reach across and grab a black piece of card, and if I pop that underneath there, can you see we have our lovely pattern? Now I've gotten a little bit wonky there. Maybe I was holding it at the wrong angle, but that doesn't matter because we can fill that in if we want to. We can just perforate with a single needle tool. Okay. So you can see how a tool like this in the shape of a V can create something so beautiful. And if I bring a piece of artwork in that Glynis has done, which pile have I put it in? Hang on, 1, 2, it's going to be the last one. So this here is the same pattern as this one. And what Glynis has done, she's taken the 3 different flowers and she's added it to her little tag. So you don't have to use all of it. I mean, this would just make a lovely little flower on its own, just in the corner maybe. Okay, right. So now let's have a look what the next stage would be if we wanted just to isolate this little flower. Okay, so I'm going to put my piece of card to one side. I'm going to remove my parchment from its pattern, take the tumble dry sheet away, and now we're going to turn over and work on the back. Now it is very, very scratchy. Okay, so this is where it was a good idea to wipe the back of your parchment before we start to do any white work. Now I'm going to stay with my Pico foam, and I'm going to take my Groovi guard just to focus on the area. And I'm going to go with the number 3 tool from the starter kit. And all I'm going to do now is just form the shape of that diamond, okay, around the outside. So I'll do the same on this one. And I'm not going, well, I am sort of going heavy, but I'm defining the shape, okay. And then all I'm going to do now is work my way and fill in that diamond. And I'm just going up and down, left and right. Okay. Now, if I'd used thicker foam underneath and I'd perforated fully, so by what I mean by that, if I'd taken the foam and gone all the way in, what that does, it weakens the perforations. So if I was if I was working in a smaller area like this and I put too much pressure on, then I'm likely to puncture the perforations, which we don't want to do. Okay, so we're going to follow the diamond, just like so. See, it doesn't take long to do. Glynis, when you was doing your lovely little pieces of artwork, how many layers of white work did you do? Or do I have to tune into the blog on Sunday to find out? Go on, give us a sneaky peek. How many layers did you do? If you can remember. I'm sure you can. Okay. Wait for Glynis to pop her head up. She probably thinks, oh, what you asked me that for? I can't remember. I'm sure you can. So it doesn't take that, about 3 or 4, depending on the size of the area. There we go. Another question for you, Glynis. It's great having the experts in the room. For your first layer, would you have gone as white as what I'm going? Or would you have gone on a lot lighter? Question from Lindsay. Has there been a Groovi Tuesday with the Volume 1 book? Yes, I think it was last year or the year before. I can't remember. It was called the Pergamano School. It was the Pergamano Summer School, and you'll be able to find all of those on our YouTube page. Okay, Linus says, no, I'm going on too white too quickly. Okay, I need to go lighter. But I'm just showing you the result. Okay. So, Lindsay, yes, we did cover book 1, and it was Linda was leading the class back then in the Pergamano Summer School, and I was the student along with everybody else. So what I'm doing now, I'm sticking with the number 3 tool, and I'm doing what I shouldn't do and going back over very quickly. Okay, just so that we can sort of see the result when I turn it over. And if you're worried about how much pressure to put on when you're doing this, you could put a poly bag underneath. Okay, so when you're doing white work within areas like this, it's possible that you may get carried away and you squidge one of the perforations on the back. I'm going to squidge this one just to show you. Okay, I've accidentally squidged those 2 holes. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to turn it back over to the front, and you can see we've got sort of what's starting to look like a flower. Now, in order to add some more definition to that pattern, we've got choices. We can use our 1 needle fine, or we can use our 1 needle bold. Now, if I turn these on their end, you can see that if you're not sure which one you've got, the 1 needle fine is just a tiny little dot. How tiny is tiny? Well, when you compare it to the large one, I know I'm sort of saying, but if you've only got one and you don't know which one's which, I'd say like a full stop on that one, and that's a bullet point on that one, if that sort of makes sense. Okay, so now we're going to go through and reperforate and redefine those holes. So in order to do that, I'm going to take my super foam and I'm going to pop that underneath my Pico foam. Now, if you've got the black super foam or the white super foam, you can use that. The white is great if you're using the light panel. So I'm going to do a combination of both so that you can see the difference. And now what we need to do is we're now going to reperforate all the way through. And on this one, I'm using the single needle fine. Okay, and what this does is it redefines your perforation. So maybe if you wanted to Pico cut this little flower out, then you could use the 1 needle fine. Let me show you the difference between the 1 needle fine and the 1 needle bold in relation to the size of the perforations. Now, you definitely need to make sure that you hold the tool in an upright position. Don't hold it as if you were sort of writing. Okay. So then we're going to go all the way around like so. But can you see the difference? Yeah, you can, can't you? This was reperforated with the 1 needle fine, and this one has been reperforated with the 1 needle bold. So depending on what look you're after, if you're looking more for a delicate flower or design, then the 1 needle fine is definitely the one to go for. So let's do every other one in bold. And this is quite, some people say, well, can I not take the tool, like the Pico V tool, and go back in and deep perforate? You can, but it's a bit of a monkey trying to realign the tools, and you're more than likely would misfire, so to speak. And so you can have more holes than you actually need. So you just take your single needle tool and you just reperforate. But you definitely need to make sure that it's in the upright position. So now I'm going to go to my 1 needle fine and reperforate every other petal. Now, looking at the piece of artwork that Glynis has created, she's definitely done that with the 1 needle fine. Haven't you, Glynis? Please tell me you have. I'm sure you have. I can tell by the size of the perforations. Okay. How are we doing? Who's doing this at the same time, or is everyone just watching to see if I make any mistakes so that you know what mistakes not to make? That's fine if you are. Not a problem. Because obviously with our YouTube pages, you can just go back and watch again and again. Okay. And then we'll just do the 1 in the middle. And I wouldn't say that you'd need to put the tumble dry sheet over, but can you hear that? That's not my stomach, that's the parchment sucking up. So if you put the tumble dry sheet underneath, that will make a difference and stop it blousing. Okay. That's all right, Helen. So Helen's playing along. I like that you're playing along, but you've got the medium Pico V tool, so you're making up the patterns as you go along. Perfect. What a great way to go. I mean, if you, some people don't necessarily need patterns. They have that eye automatically that by sort of perforating one way, turning it another way, you can get lovely diamonds, you can get flowers. All the pattern does, it helps you sort of practice, but it also gives you the layout already. So like the Groovi plate, you haven't got to sort of think about where you're going. The Groovi plate is automatically done for you. And in a way, these lovely sampler plates that Linda has created really does make a difference. I mean, look at this one. This one looks as if you think, blimey, where do I start? I wouldn't know where to start on this one. It doesn't look like a V at all, does it? Okay. So let's have a look. Let's have a look at this corner up here, because I want to show you some cutting on why it's called a Pico V. Okay. And this was, Barbara had a conversation with the lovely Linda Williams, because before the Pico V came about, there was a tool called the angle tool. Let's see if have I got the angle tool out just to show the difference. Let me grab my angle tool while you have a look at that. Okay. And the way in which Barb described the angle tool, it was sort of like a castle turret. Hang on, let me just see if I can find my angle tool. I think that's it. Let's have a look. Yes, I reckon. Okay. And there's a piece of artwork here, I'm sure that Glynis has done using the angle tool. Yes. Okay. Well, I found it. I'll show you that in a minute. So let's have a go at this area here. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to put our glasses back on. Glynis is just watching. Glynis. I don't know. I suppose you've done it already though, haven't you? So I'll allow you just to watch and not join in, Glynis. So we're going to attach our parchment using our Groovi tabs. I flipped it back over so I'm working on the back. I'm going to take my Pico V small. I'm going to take my Groovi guard. Now this time let me swing round to this angle. Let's come back in on this camera over here. Right, where am I going? I've got to go over to the left, I know that. Right. Right, he says. Sounds like I've got a croaky voice. So don't forget, back legs on the bottom at an angle. Stand it upright, and once you're happy, hang on. or I've still got the super foam underneath. It wouldn't have been the end of the world, but it would have definitely have made a difference. Right, realign, back legs in place, he says. Hang on, that one, upright. Right, okay, can you see how I'm pushing parchment is struggling to go through both? Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my tumble dry sheet again. If you find that when you come to do this, you're sort of struggling, say take your tumble dry sheet and just stab it a couple of times. Okay, just like so. And that will automatically lubricate the needles. So back legs in place, upright position, and perforate. A lot better. Let's go into the smaller window. Back legs in place, upright, and perforate. And we're just moving along and creating our design. Okay, now I'm going to take the angle tool and I'm going to take the pattern away just so that we can have a look at the different style, because it looks like a V as well. So if I take the angle tool, I'm sure this is the angle tool, he says, hang about. And right, can you see the difference on that? Not in the shape, but also how it was blousing up. So let me take my tumble dry sheet. Make sure you don't, fingers aren't in the way. And what we're going to do, I'm going to take that as a guide to try and do a sort of a straight line. And move along. Definitely different. You see the difference on that with it perforating through the parchment. Now I could go back in and join up the holes. So if you're doing this without a pattern, see the difference in the, probably can't, hang on, let me come back on this camera. Okay, so this is the Pico V and this is the angle tool. Okay, now what the Pico V does is it gives you a point. So your final Pico cut will be at that top point. Okay, whereas when you do it on here, it gets rid of the point. So let me show you. I'll do it to explain. When you have a look, I'll tell you what, come in on this one, hang on. Really? Okay, so this is using the angle tool. So when you look, where am I? Wrong side. Although you've got a point, it looks more like a castle turret because it's flat on top. Okay, but when you cut with the Pico V, you get a point on the end. Okay, so let's have a look. So you can see the difference. And this was why Barb had a conversation with Linda, because she wanted, because it was like a point, she expected to get a point when she snipped, but she didn't. She got a flat piece. So conversations backwards and forwards, and that's where the Pico V's were born. Okay. Excuse me. So if I take my scissors, and let's have a look, I can show you the difference. I'm going to use my ring lock. Okay. I can't believe where this time has gone. Okay, let's come back on the overhead. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do the top points. Okay, glasses on. So I'm going to put the tips of my scissors in, and I'm going to snip. Tips of my scissors in. This may look absolutely rubbish because I haven't warmed up. That's my excuse anyway. Snip. Now I'm going to come round and I'm going to do the sides. Okay, just like so. And I'm going to do, oh, this looks terrible. Mr. Church, where is Lisa? Who was on the retreats last week when Lisa was doing the Pico cutting? I think I need to get Lisa in the room. This is terrible. This is how not to do it. This is terrible. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh, I don't know. Might work. I'm getting into it now. Hands warming up. See, it's always a good idea to warm up first. Okay, I'm going to take this waste away in a moment. But if I now go to this is how not to Pico cut. Seriously, guys. Even with my glasses on. There we go, that's better. We have good days and we have bad days. And today is a bad day for Paul and his Pico cutting. Oh dear. So I'm turning my work so it's more comfortable to me. Look, it's going to make any difference to this terrible mess. It might give you an idea. Let me just go and snip that one. All right, excuse me. Right, okay. Let's cut away the waste along here. I need to snip those little bits in there, don't I? Okay. Right, let's have a look. So if I pull those away there. Oh dear. Tune into Glynis's blog on Sunday. She'll show you how it's done. Right, okay, you can see a difference, a terrible difference, but you can see. This is using the angle tool, okay, and it gives you a flat piece across the top, hence Barbara calling it a castle turret, whereas with the Pico V is more pointed, okay. Oh dear. Is it home time yet? Let me show you Glynis's beautiful pieces of artwork and you'll see exactly what it should look like. Now what Glynis has done before she's done the Pico cutting, she's added in the white work. You know how we added the white work in on the flowers? So you would shallow perforate, do your white work, reperforate, and then Pico cut. And then there was the other piece that Glynis has done. Is it this one? It's this one. So there is a variation on the theme. So it's doing, this one is going across along a straight line. and then this one is backwards and forwards. So it creates a diamond effect. So it has a larger white area compared to the one that's going along a single line. These stars have been created using the Pico V. Okay. Here's another piece here. The star in the middle of that bauble. That's using Pico V. So even if you don't want to do any cutting at all, just to create these lovely perforated patterns, the tools are great for that. If you want to just add a little bit of detail, like Glynis has here with that little flower, or on the tag here, you just want to put a little accent in somewhere, then the Pico V, I mean, all the different tools in the different book will come up with different patterns. Right, let's have a look at some of the other designs. So there we go, there's the star. So you've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-sided star, a 6-sided star. You can go around in a circle. You can create, I love this one, like the wiggly worm. You've got a larger snowflake. This one looks like tractor wheels. Looking at the design, you may look at all these and say, well, it's just a series of dots. And where do I start? It is quite easy, because what you do is you take the tool and you find where the back legs are and you position them. Okay. Question we're often asked, can I just do this with a single needle tool? You can, but it's going to take a lot longer to do with a single needle tool than it would with the multi-needle tool. Because, okay, let's have a count on this one. One, where's my glasses? We've got one, no, that's the wrong one. That's the angle tool. We've got 6 needles on the small. So in order to get one little V, you've got to perforate 6 times. Okay. On the medium, how many have we got on that one? So on the medium, we've got 8 needles. And then on the large, we've got 10 needles. Okay. So you imagine doing this in a large design, and in order to get one corner, you've got to perforate 10 times, and you've got to keep that tool upright, and you've got to perforate the parchment and the paper in exactly the right position every single time. Okay. So the Pico Vs are definitely were a game changer back in the day when we launched them. And when you look at what you can do with them, it's quite amazing, really, isn't it? And we've only touched really briefly on having a play, but I thought it's great just to show you sort of a couple of tips and techniques on how to hold the tool, how to position, and how to do the white work. All of the instructions are in the book from Linda. She does hold your hand and guide you through each step, but sometimes seeing it being done can make a difference from sort of reading a book. So over the series of working through this volume 2, we're going to have a look at the tools, a different tool every week. And as I said, the lovely Glynis has very kindly created these beautiful little tag art that Grace will post onto the Clarity Matters blog every Sunday. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 projects every Sunday using the particular tool that we cover in Groovi Tuesday. Because Glynis, she obviously got carried away when she was playing with the tools and did 2. What we're looking at here today is just one of many tools. And in the handbook, treat it as sort of like a a lesson plan. I'm going to zoom out now so you can have a look. Treat it as a lesson plan. You haven't got to do one a week. You could do one a month. It's entirely up to you. You can build your collection of tools as you go along. You haven't got to buy them all. But then have a look in the book. Let me just open this up. Have a look in the book and then have a look at the projects on where Linda has used them. So let's have a look here. So if we start here, let's find one that's using the Pico V's. That's the heart. Heart's a lovely one as well. That's a semi-square. Look at that. That is stunning. Extra patterns. Perfect. There's the angle tool. Oh, we'll get there in the end. Moon and the cross. Where's my little book? Here we go. Pico V large, Pico V medium, Pico V small. So if I bring this piece of artwork in here, you can see what Linda's done. She's done it on the corners and along the outside. And that is exactly what Glynis has done on this piece of artwork here. Look, if I hold that there, you can see where it varies in size, where it goes from the large to the medium to the small, large, medium, small. So if you want to go round a design, don't think by just looking at the pattern that, oh, I've only got a corner, I can't do anything else with it. You move your pattern as you go along. So this was answering to Judith's question, can you use the same piece of paper again? Yes, you can, because you can use it to extend your design. Oh dear, time flies, my goodness. And I haven't told you what's going on this week. So let's have a deep breath, a swig of coffee, and I'll tell you what's coming up the week ahead. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock sees the launch of a brand new one-day special. So Barbara's launching that at 6 on Create and Craft. Then I'm on at 9. Then on Thursday at 10 o'clock, Barb's back with the third hour of the one-day special. And I'm doing the fourth hour at 2 o'clock. Then, if you like Linda Williams designs, the lovely Dawn Wheeler will be launching a brand new and exclusive using designs from Linda Williams in stamp form. So Dawn will be on Thursday at 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. and then on Friday at 8 in the morning. Then Thursday evening, I'll be doing the next craft along using the layering frames from Linda Williams, set 2, which was the countryside. So we'll send out details about that before Friday. So if you want to join me at 7 o'clock on Friday evening, then you're welcome to. And then finally, on Saturday, Tina is on the TV and she's Get Groovy with Tina at 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock. So if you're looking for some ideas for some men's cards or sort of like hobbies and travel, then Tina's got a fantastic collection of groovy plates that she'll be showcasing there. I breathe. Oh, goodness me. That was a workout. I feel as if I've just done 10 rounds with Mike Tyson. Oh, yeah. So as always, thank you very much for your company. Thank you for the lovely Grace for being in the room. I've seen all the messages pop up. I'm off to have a catch up with Grace and Barb now. Thank you as always to the amazing design team being in the room, always there to help. Don't forget to check out Wide and Groovy Worldwide on Facebook. Check out Barbara's blog, barbaragrayblog.com, the Clarity Matters blog, claritymattersblog.com, the Clarity YouTube page. There's so much out there for you to enjoy, and it's all free. So I'll be back in the shack with Barb on Monday. And otherwise, I shall see you next Tuesday for the next instalment of Groovi Tuesday. So enjoy the rest of your week. Stay safe. Enjoy the weather if you've got some lovely weather. And I'll see you next week. Bye.